Hey everybody, this is Lisa, and this is episode 6 of the Stop, Drop, and Knit podcast. To all of you who are returning, thank you so much for coming back, and for my new viewers, welcome. Absolutely everybody is welcome in my little space here on YouTube. And this is just where I'm going to be spending about an hour sharing all of my knitting projects. Also spinning, although I don't actually have any spinning for you today. I think it's just that time of year, and Christmas is coming, and there's gift knitting, and then people always drop things on you, like your 6-year-old son with a Christmas sweater. More on that later, with like 15 days before Christmas. So lots going on here, lots to share with you. First, I just wanted to take a minute and ask for all of my returning viewers. I know a lot of you have been here with me since episode 1. I have noticed that maybe only about a third of my viewers are actually taking the time to hit that subscribe button. So it would mean so much to me if you've been with me, if you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out, if you would just take 10 seconds and just subscribe. That would just mean the world to me. For everybody that's taking the time to leave a comment and liking my podcast and is subscribing, thank you so much. It means so much to me that you keep coming back to hear what I am sharing with my knitting. So I have so much to talk with you about today, so let's just get right into it. The first things first that I always do is, what am I wearing? So this is one of my absolute favorite sweaters and the favorite test knits that I have ever done. This is called Elephant Promenade, and this is a design by Annie Lupton. Again, I did test knit for her quite a few times, maybe 4 or 5 times. And this is one of my favorite designs of hers that I have done. So this is Elephant Promenade, and Annie Lupton is from Boho Chic Fiber Co. I will have all of her information in the description box below this video, and for everything that I talk about today. There's a little kitty cat on my video today. This is Melody. She is an outdoor cat that has adopted my whole family. Yeah, so this is just an amazing round yoke sweater design. And so this incredibly adorable elephant march is happening around the front of the sweater. And then there's also some more elephants down at the bottom. And the cuffs detail is that. And then let me see. Kitty bombing my video. There's short rows in the back of the yoke to help the shape of the sweater. So this yarn is all natural fiber. For this design, I think the one that Annie did was a black and white design, and I loved that so much. But the take that I took on it was to do undyed yarn. So this sweater is completely sheep, just natural sheep colors. And I have it here still. The yarn is from Green Mountain Spinnery up in Putney, Vermont. And maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we've been to Vermont a handful of times. My husband and I love it up there. It's kind of a dream to one day own a house somewhere in Vermont. Yeah, we love it so much up there. And so one of the things that I always like to do on our road trips is to check out yarn shops, and Green Mountain Spinnery is there. So we went and we had a tour of the factory, and it was amazing. The people were so nice there, and it was so much fun. And so I decided to order some yarn from them to make this sweater. And so I have all of this left. I can't remember if I must have ordered 3 of this color. So this is a 2-ply. You know what I did is I made a bunch of notes for this podcast, and I left my notes down inside the house. So I might have to run in and get that. But this is a 2-ply Targhee. And it's completely just natural color. And you can like totally feel the lanolin still in this. And it does bloom when you wash it. And it is just so nice. So I'm so glad that I still have a good amount of this left over. And then this brown is Lana, and I only have just a tiny bit because I've actually used it in a few different sweaters, little bits of it here and there for like darker outlines and color work. So at this point, this is all that I have left. But this is also in a naturally undyed fiber. I think it's a blend of a few different breeds of sheep, but it is 100% wool and just all completely naturally colored. So yeah, I love this sweater. So many people, I remember when she released this one on Instagram. So this I knit in the spring of 2019. So not quite 2 years ago, but this was a big hit. And she made versions of it in solid colors like this, but then also in like indie dyed yarn. And it's really fun to see all the different combinations that people came up with. And I think she also designed a short sleeve version of this sweater as well. So yeah, so that is what I'm wearing today, Elephant Promenade. So, all right, let me pause this and run in and get my notes because I'm gonna need them for the next section. So hang on. Okay guys, I am back. I've got my notebook so that I have all the information that I wanted to share with you guys. Actually, not trying to dig it out of my head, but just ready to go for you. Okay, so next up is finished objects. Okay, so it took me a while. I don't know why it took me so long, but I finally finished Owen's socks. And oh my gosh, I feel like you guys have, since episode 1, been looking at these socks because first I had them for me, and I wore them yesterday, so I don't have those to dig out again, but you guys have already seen those and they look just like these. And then these have just been like a constant whip for like 5 episodes so far. And let me tell you, I was so excited because a few days ago, I finally finished these. And then I had Owen try them on for a picture, and one of the socks was too short. I was like, what did I do? I held them up when I was getting ready to do the toe for the second sock. I held them up and I thought that I was ready to start the toe, but I should have knit one more stripe first. So last night, I undid the toe on the second sock and I redid it. He was like, it's okay, you don't have to redo it. I can just wear them like this, but you know, I can't. It was easy enough to fix, especially after fixing all the toes on all of the husband socks that I had been doing. I knew it wasn't going to be that big a deal, especially for his tiny little feet. So just for a quick recap on that, and then you'll never have to look at these socks again, but they're so pretty. This is now all that I have left of the Sleepy Pumpkin Patch colorway by Julia from Knitterly Things. And I used just a bright orange for the heel, for a little bit of a contrast so that I could keep the stripes in a nice order. So that is finally a finished object. He has actually worn these right away, like the day that I finished them. He put them on for like half of a day, and so they're already all, yeah, I washed them though before, yeah. So as I said, like I finished something and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna wear that right now. So yeah. All right, so that is my first finished object. And oh my gosh, do I have stories about my next one? Stories. This has been a frustrating week, actually, for knitting. Really frustrating. Okay. So I have a few more finished objects here. And they are all frustrating stories. All right. So a couple of episodes ago, I pulled out mittens that I had made for my mom maybe 2 years ago for Christmas. Maybe 3 years. I don't know. It was a handful of years ago for Christmas. And for some reason, I thought that she had ginormous hands. And she doesn't. She has the exact same size hands as I do. And my hands are tiny. Don't know why I thought she had really big hands. So she asked me to redo them because she really liked the mittens. And I had originally knit a pattern called Bella's Mittens. And it had a similar cable to the antler mittens that I knit for myself with my hand spun. And so I decided I was just going to make the antler mittens again. So I did. And last week I had showed you that I had one. I think I had showed you that I had one. But maybe I hadn't even... No, I think I did have this done last week. So I knit this. And it's still like a teeny tiny bit big. But so much better. Like, they fit me. I would wear these. She should be much happier with these. So then, it was my mission this week to finish these mittens and have them checked off my list. And so I got right away after the last podcast, I started on the next mitten. Finished the entire thing. And then I put it on my hand. And it was too big. And I said, what's going on? I knit, this one fits. What did I do? I knit the same exact amount of cables. I did all of the same things. I had grabbed the wrong needle size. I had grabbed my size 9 double pointed needles instead of my size 8s. And the mitten was way too big. So I had finished the whole thing. I thought that I had the mittens checked off my list. So frogging it, I ripped it, all the way down into the cuff. I left the cuff as it was, and then I started the cables again. And I re-knit the whole thing, but now she's got mittens. And they fit, and they're soft, and they're cozy, and more importantly, they're finished. Yay! These are finished. So that was my first frustration, was like knitting an entire mitten with the wrong size needles. And I couldn't leave it because I had already given these mittens to her, or similar mittens to her once that were too big. And I just knew, I was like, I can't, I have to redo this for her. This was a gift. I've already taken 2 years to fulfill this promise of redoing these mittens. So that was very frustrating. Okay, so then my goal, so cute. I'm going to take these off because I need my fingers. But they're so cozy. So the yarn so I had to do some digging on Ravelry to figure out what yarn it was that I had used. I could remember that, I think last time I said it was Misty Alpaca. It's not Misty Alpaca. It is by a company called Alpaca with a Twist. And it is Big Baby. So I remembered that there was something about Big Baby in the title. And so I searched for Big Baby Alpaca, I think is what I did. And so I finally figured out what it was. It was the Kentucky Blue number 1016 colorway of this yarn. And it is discontinued. I mean, I bought this 3, 4, 5 years, I don't remember, like a whole handful of years ago. So what I couldn't figure out was how bulky the yarn was, because I really wanted to do a matching hat for my mom, because I did have yarn left over. And I wasn't exactly sure, because at this point, having ripped out mittens and everything, it was in like all these little bits, and I had like a big cake of the yarn from like what was left over from the original mittens being done. And then I just had like bits and bits and bits of, I had no idea how much yardage I had. And so I had no idea how much yardage was even in a skein. And so I was like just totally guessing on this. And I figured that this felt like really bulky to work with. So I was searching for hat patterns that had a similar cable to this. Now, Tin Can Knits also makes an antler hat toque pattern, but I knew that I didn't have enough yarn for that. I mean, maybe I could have knit a smaller size. That pattern was written for a worsted weight yarn, and so I mean, I might have been able to try it with this yarn and like with a smaller size, and I don't know. So I also just didn't love that pattern so much. I love the mittens pattern, but the hats pattern, I don't know. Just didn't love it the same way that I liked the mitten pattern. But I knew what this cable looked like, and so I was trying so hard to find a hat pattern that didn't use, you know, you can put in the search engine in Ravelry like how much yardage approximately when you're searching for a pattern. So I figured I didn't have more than 100 yards, and so I searched 0 to 150 yards is as much as you can, is like the lowest searching narrow amount. There we go, words, Lisa. Is the lowest amount of yardage that you can search for as a filter and when searching patterns. So I figured that this yarn was a super bulky yarn because that's what it said on Ravelry, and so I put that in as a parameter for the search, and I came up with a really nice pattern that had just one giant cable of this antler cable. And so I knit that whole hat, and I did not like it. I had enough yarn for it, but let's just say that this super bulky of the kind of super bulky that they were using for that hat pattern, which is great. I think I will knit this hat pattern. It is called the Shar hat, and I'll put a picture of it here so you can see, you know, what I was trying to do. It's a pattern by Margaret Stofficher. I don't know. I'll insert her name, and I'll have this down in the description as well. So I tried to knit that hat, and the fabric just, I didn't like it. I could have tried it on smaller needles, but it only had 40 stitches around, and it was too small. Like, I could get the hat on my head, but it just wasn't working. So, and it was not at all the fault of the pattern. It was just this yarn is more, I think, just bulky than the super bulky that was in the description on Ravelry. So I found I had knit the entire hat again. So I mean, telling you, I had problems this week with my mom's gift, and it occupied so much of my knitting time this week, and it was so frustrating. But the finished products that I have, I'm really pleased with. So what I ended up doing was searching for another hat, and I knew that I had to go down to bulky weight, and you know, I didn't really know how much yardage I had, so I found one that I thought was really pretty, and it is really pretty. And so what I actually knit up for her was a pattern by Tara Conover called the Paris Beanie. And I have it right here, and I had more problems with it. So let me just show you first the stitch pattern so that you can see that that cable, it's not exactly an antler cable. I think that she calls it a horseshoe cable, but it's pretty similar. Like, I just wanted something that was gonna be close enough of a match to the mittens that it looked like it could be a set. And I think that this pattern fit the bill. So, not exactly the same cable, but super similar. This horseshoe cable here, and then it had some little twisted stitches and some pearl stitches and some yarn overs, slip stitch over knit stitch things over there. And this is just a really pretty hat design. So, what is my problem with this hat, you ask? And I'm about to show you. I ran out of yarn. I had one cable repeat left to do, and I looked at my little bits of yarn, and based on other little bits of yarn that I was using, I knew I wasn't going to have enough. So I had got really frustrated because I had already knit and frogged a hat in its entirety, and I was like, oh gosh, am I going to have to do that again? So last night I went searching through like my stash, and I don't buy a lot of blue yarn. I buy a lot of purple yarn. So I didn't have too many options, but what I had was leftovers from some Christmas gifts from years before. And this, I think, is also by Alpaca with a twist. So it is also an alpaca yarn. But this one, it's a different shade of blue, and it has little tweedy bits in it. So there's an obvious difference, but I had already known what pom-pom I was going to use because I was in Joann's a couple of days ago, and I found this pom-pom, and I said, oh, I think that would go really, really well with the yarn for my mom's hat, and it totally does. And so I'm just going to show you. You can totally see that last cable repeat is with this other yarn. But I think, and this is what my hope was, and I think it does work because, I think if it didn't have a pom-pom, I wouldn't be happy with it. But because of the pom-pom, and it's a nice big pom-pom, I think it kind of obscures it so that, like, even though you can see a little bit of it up there, I don't think you are really going to notice it so much. And, so I just really love this. And see, I don't think it's that bad. But, so this is what I'm going to scoot back a little bit. Let me tilt this just slightly up like that. There we go. So, and I've got to be careful because my mom's going to be here with they went Christmas tree shopping. And so they're going to be bringing it through the house around back here. So I have to hide this before they get here. I love this so much. I love this hat. She better like this hat because it is so warm. It is so cozy. I 1,000% recommend the Paris beanie hat. I think this is a fairly new pattern. It's from February 2020. So it's a 2020 pattern. And I hope she really likes this. And I don't think it's like is it super noticeable? I don't think so. I mean, maybe somebody really tall looking down. I don't know. And I love this pom-pom. I don't know. If she doesn't like it, and if she doesn't wear it, I'm going to take these for me because I really like it. So, through all of that, I had so many frustrating moments with this pattern. I mean, not with this pattern, but with trying to find a pattern that I had enough yarn for that was going to be similar enough cable design. I didn't want to do cables all the way around. That's why I picked one that had some other interesting details because that's another reason that I didn't do the antler mittens because I didn't think that I had enough yarn for all of the cables because the cables adds, you need extra yarn to do them. So I'm just admiring it right now because I only actually just woven the ends and put the pom-pom on right before I started recording. So yeah, so I think that this is just a really nice hat, and now I want to make one for myself. So yeah, I do have some of that purple yarn that I used for my antler mitts still. I might have enough to do this hat. I have no idea, but yeah, totally like it so much. I'm so excited. All right, so those are all of the finished objects that I have for you. I totally want to leave this on, but she's going to be coming around. So I'm going to hide this now, and I'm going to readjust my camera. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to whips. So the first whip that I have is a hoe. I know it took me so long to do those other little socks for Owen. I don't know why. And so earlier this week, I was wearing socks that I had knit maybe 2 years ago or something, with some of this amazing rainbow yarn. I call them my rainbow bright socks because these like bright saturated rainbow colors, and I don't know if you can see, but it also has stellina in it. Yeah, I don't know how well you can see that from the cake here. But I was wearing these socks, and I think Owen was 4 years old at the time, and he said, I want rainbow socks too. I like the sparkly rainbow socks. So back when I did these socks, he really wanted a pair. And, I said that I would because I always have yarn left over, and I just, I usually knit him socks, but for some reason I never actually followed through and knit him these socks. And then a few days ago, I was wearing them, and he saw them again, and he said, I really want those rainbow sparkly socks, Mom. So I said, okay. And I had just finished his other socks, so I went right away and I grabbed the yarn. And he has one little sparkly rainbow sock now. And I love this yarn so much. I loved it so much when I was making the socks for myself, and I still love it so much. So this is my hoe. I have one sock finished. I've been using the same sock pattern for Owen for all of his socks because I know that they fit him. They are the half pint socks, and I'll tell you who they're by in a second. And the pattern is by J.M. Cobb. So I'll have a link to that as well in my description box below this video. And the yarn, again, this is Knitterly Things yarn, and this, I told you I am in her Rainbow Sock Club of the month, and this is the very first month that I joined was this colorway, and it is called Paint Box, and it is from January 2018. So that is what this is, and maybe you guys can see the spark. Yeah, I think you guys can see that sparkle a little bit. But they're just so fun. And what I did was I took that same orange yarn and I just did the heel in the orange so that I could keep his stripe sequence just really regular there. So I am so excited about these. So he knows that I am making these, but he hasn't seen me work on them very much. So I'm going to make the other one for him. And I think I'm going to give these to him as just a little Christmas present, just a little something that's not Legos under the tree. So, all right. So that is my first whip, is that hoe. And, all right. So I started working on this little Santa before the last podcast. And I didn't do too much more with him. Basically, all right, so what I had done already, so this was just a kit that came with a magazine from the UK called Let's Knit. And it's got this god-awful yarn. I have no idea, just some acrylic stuff. But it is such a pain to knit with this. Yeah, I talked about that last time. Such a pain. It's just really hard to see your stitches on the needles. I don't know. So I don't recommend this yarn. But this is Santa's body. And then, so I showed you all this last time. I had two little, whoops, one just blew away. All right, two little arms and two little boots. So then last night, I mean, most of my knitting this week, I swear, those mittens and that hat, I feel like I should have had so much more knitting done by now, but those things, I mean, at least they turned out beautiful. But it was frustrating. It was a frustrating knitting week. But I knit the head last night for Santa. So just a little bit more progress. I figure, I mean, this is not, I like knitting toys, but it's not always my favorite thing. I mean, they're not relaxing. It's just like little, especially a toy like this where there's going to be so much seaming. Like there's so many little pieces. There's going to be all these like little finicky parts to attach. Usually when I make toys, like Owen's bunny and mouse, mostly those were done with a construction that you kind of knit the pieces together as you went. So this one though is just kind of like a whole bunch of little pieces, and I'm gonna have to sew it all up. So, I mean, it's not the most fun thing to work on, but I figure, we're still like 2 weeks away from Christmas. Oh my gosh, is Christmas on a Friday? I think it is. That's my podcast day. Probably won't be podcasting Christmas Day that week. But yeah, so it's 2 weeks away from Christmas, and I figure I've got time if I just do like a body part here, a body part there. I've got the hat, and let me see, where's the bag? Here it is. So I still have to do the hat and the beard and the mustache and the nose and the belt, and then like sew it all and stuff it all. And if I'm just gonna just keep adding little bits at a time, and I think I'll be able to get it done in time for Christmas Eve to like stick in his stocking at the top. So yeah, not a whole lot has happened with this one, but it is still a whip. So I figured I would dig it out and show you. All right. And so then my big whip here, and I haven't put so much time into it because again, hat and mittens took up way too much time. But this is my worsted Boxy, and I think I didn't put a progress keeper. Maybe I'm gonna have to do that now that I podcast. But I had about half this much done, so I think I put maybe another 3 or 4 inches on it. And this yarn really blows out the camera. But this is Malabrigo Rios, which is the yarn that Joji Locatelli recommended in her pattern. And so I've actually never used Rios before, so this is my first Malabrigo Rios experience, and it's super nice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like a super wash yarn. But so I'm alternating skeins, and you can see that I'm down. This one's a lot smaller because I just for the ribbing at the bottom, I stuck with I didn't alternate for the ribbing because I figured it's the ribbing, it's at the bottom. There's not a lot of it. If it pools down there, I don't really care. But I didn't want any pooling to happen during the main body of the sweater. So every time I go around in a circle, I switch. And so my goal was to have knitted through my first 2 balls. So it's like 6 skeins, 5 or 6 skeins of yarn for the whole sweater. And so, I'm like about a third of the way there now. It's all scrunched up on my needles, so you can't, see really too much going on there. But yeah, so that's still happening. We will see how much love this gets in the next couple of weeks before Christmas. Whoops, dropped it. I keep dropping everything. Because there's a lot of other knitting all of a sudden that has to happen. Okay, so that's all I've got for whips at the moment. Well, actually, that's not true. I have one more whip that just popped up. And let me pull it out for you because this is actually super exciting. So we are going to go over to Knitworthy now. So, knitworthy. On Wednesday, so today is Friday. On Wednesday, so Owen is in first grade, and on Wednesdays he has art class. So on Wednesday, he came home from school, and he presented me with this picture that he made in art class. They were given like a blank sketch of a sweater, and were told to design a Christmas sweater. And so this is the sweater. Maybe I hold it over here. There you go. Now you can see me too. This is the sweater that Owen designed. And so he came home from school and he presented me with this picture and said, "Mom, I need you to make me this." I said, "What, you want me to knit you this sweater?" He said, "Uh-huh." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I want you to knit me this sweater." Yeah, so, okay. So this was Wednesday, so we're like, 16 days until Christmas, 15 sleeps, and I have been given an assignment, which is my first commission. I've been commissioned by my 6-year-old, and I have a concept drawing. So, all right. So my first thought is vertical stripes. Because, all right, so I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do this. And there might end up being a pattern coming out of this. I've never written a pattern, but there's really nothing exactly like this out there on Ravelry or anything. So, I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the cuffs, and if you can see, let's see, he didn't color it in really, but there's a Christmas present down there. So he says, "Mom, don't forget about the present under the tree." There's a present. Of course there's a present under the tree. Who has a Christmas tree without presents under it? So I'm gonna have to make a little present, and I'm gonna have to make a Christmas tree. So let me tell you my plan for this sweater. All right. So first things first is yarn. All right, I had already knit him the Owen sweater, and so I had a lot of blue and orange yarn. So the first thing that I did that night was I went and I dug it out to see what I had left. And so what I had left was 2 full skeins of orange, and so this is Cascade 220 Superwash, and this is color 1952. So I knew I had enough orange because I also had like this much of the orange. And this is Cascade 220 Superwash, is also the same green that I made his Tannenbaum hat out of, that I did not talk about yet because I haven't worked on it. So I had that much left over, but all I had was 1 partial, mostly full skein of blue. All right, so this was over a year ago, or about a year ago, maybe a little more, that I made Owen the Owen sweater. And so I knew that I purchased this from Tony over at the Knitting Cove in Port Jefferson, New York. And so I messaged her right away on Instagram, and I said, all right, I showed her Owen's picture. I showed her the picture of the Cascade that I had left. I had the label, so I gave her the color. I said, "Would you happen to have any more of this left?" And so she wrote back, and she had 2 skeins. And so I have an acquisition. So today, this morning, I went up and I picked up the 2 skeins. I probably won't need both of them, but she only had 2. And I wasn't going to chance it, especially after the hat and everything. So with him, he likes orange and blue. I can find something else to do with leftover blue yarn. So I got that. Okay, so the first thing, so I'm looking at this, and my mind is like, all right, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make this sweater for him? So I was like, okay, I don't want to try to do vertical stripes with color work because A, that's a pain in the butt, and B, it's not the most efficient method of doing the stripes. And so then I was looking at it, and I noticed that the way He did, because he was I said, so do you want the stripes to be vertical like you drew them, or would you be happy with like horizontal stripes? Because, you know, like either a top down or bottom up sweater with horizontal stripes is super easy, right? Because that's just like a round yoke sweater or knit in pieces, whatever. That's easy to accomplish. This takes a little bit more thought because of the vertical stripes. So he said no, like he was very insistent that the stripes have got to be vertical. I said, okay, we'll make that happen for you. So I was looking, and he said, and the stripes on the sleeves have to go like horizontally. But I was looking at it, right? And so if you held out that arm, all the stripes are really vertical stripes. So I said, oh, maybe I can just knit this side to side, like sleeve to sleeve, and have it in one piece. So that is my plan. But then he's got also, the ribbing has stripes too. And I want to give this kid exactly what he drew. So I was looking at the ribbing, and I was figuring, okay, maybe I can do a 2-color brioche stitch for the ribbing, for the cuffs. So that's my plan for the cuffs. But I couldn't start with it that way. Maybe I could have. I don't know. I didn't think that was going to be the best way to start. So what I have done, stick this here so it doesn't blow away. What I did was I did a provisional cast on, which I had only done once or twice before, so I had to look up how to do it. But basically, for a provisional cast on, you make a crochet chain with some waste yarn, and then you knit into that. So this is going to be like the bottom part of the sleeve is going to be here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and remove the waste yarn, and I'm going to knit the brioche rib down from there at the end after I have the whole rest of the sweater knit. So I did that. I did a provisional cast on, and then I kind of followed, because I had knit the sleeves flat for his newt sweater from Martin's Story. I kind of followed the increases for that. So I just did that like the same as for his newt sweater. But what I had to do was the stripes. So what I did was like every 12 rounds, I just switched color. So I'm doing a lot of counting to make sure the stripes are very even. So what I'm gonna do next is, so this, I probably need 1 or 2 more stripes for the sleeve, because I mean, don't forget, this is gonna have like an inch or 2 of cuff still, so it's not, you know, that's not where his hand needs to be. And he's got, you know, smaller arms than I do. And so the way that I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna then probably, I've never designed anything, so it's kind of fun. I mean, I wonder if I could. And so now my child is putting me to the test with my knitting design abilities here. So I'm gonna figure out then what length the body is, because I was thinking, okay, like when you do like a seamed sweater and you have the front piece and the back piece and then the 2 flat sleeves, the way that you knit it together first is like you've got the circle for the neck, and then it's laid out, you know, like front, back, and then the 2 sleeves, and then you seam together basically the side seams and the sleeves. So that's what I'm thinking is how I'm going to do this, except that I want to do it all in one piece because of the stripes. And he did a really good job. I mean, like you can see like the stripes just kind of like on this sleeve, the way he colored it, they just kind of curve down, so that, you know, when you drop your shoulder, the sleeve, the stripes will just naturally curve down like that if I just do it all in one piece. So I'm gonna do it an all-in-one construction. I just have to figure out how. I do have some books in my library that I can reference for this. I'm going to take his newt sweater, and I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this sleeve as my swatch. I don't swatch, but I figured what I can do from this is I can get a row gauge and a stitch count and figure out how many stitches then I need to. I'm going to have to cast on stitches for the body in both directions. And then I'm going to have to just really, the only part I'm really concerned about is how to do the neck hole. So, and that I would think is going to be pretty similar to like the poncho that I showed you. Well, not the poncho, that vest thing that I showed you. That was just like a big rectangle with like 2 openings for the sleeves, right? So I just have to figure out like exactly where to place the neck opening and how to do it. And then I'll pick up, like the same exact way that I'm going to do for the ribbed cubbing. I'm going to pick up and do a brioche rib for the neck band. And so I am going to just knit an orange and blue striped sweater. And that's my first step, is like just make this vertical striped sweater happen. And then, so I've been thinking, okay, how am I going to do this Christmas tree and the Christmas present? And I already completely nixed the idea of intarsia, because even though I can do intarsia, I didn't want to deal with charting anything out, anything like that. So then I was thinking, well, maybe I can like embroider it on top. And so that was like my next idea, was to do that. But I don't really know how to do any embroidery. So that's another thing that, like I'm sure I could figure something out. But then when I was picking up the blue yarn this morning from the yarn shop, Jenny over there said, I wonder, maybe you can, instead of trying to just do embroidery on it, like you should be able to find like a little pattern for just a Christmas tree shape. And maybe you can just like knit that and then stitch it on top of it and then decorate it with like baubles or something. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna knit up like a little tree and a star for the top of it, and then like decorate the tree with maybe some baubles or buttons or something, and knit up a little present, and then I'm gonna just attach them like just by stitching them, like whip stitching them on top. So that's my plan. Oh, that's the back. That's my plan for how I am going to accomplish Owen's concept drawing of his Christmas sweater. And I've got 2 weeks to make this baby happen. So I said to him, okay, so if I knit this for you, you're going to wear it? And he said, every day. So probably won't wear it every day, but yes, this is something that he definitely wants, and I think I can make this happen. So I'm going to do my best. So wish me luck, and I will be excited. If nothing else, it makes for great podcast content, right? To talk about. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how this looks so far. Of course, blue and orange are not what you think of as being Christmas colors, but they're Owen's favorite colors. So blue and orange it must be. And yeah, so that's the start. So this is another whip. And now this is going to take, so I don't really know how much love my worsted Boxy is going to get. And spinning is just not happening right now. So even though I want to be spinning, and there will be a lot of spinning coming, definitely starting in January. But I think for right now, like until we get past the holidays, and because I've got this sweater to knit, and then I've also got my test knit. And let me tell you about my test knit. I was really, really hoping to have a swatch to show you by now for my Noctuade sweater test knit that I am doing for Catherine Clark over at Brooklyn General. She is the designer that did that really famous Ishtel sweater that was on the cover of Pom Pom magazine several issues ago, a year or so ago. And I showed you last time that I had acquired already the yarn for the colorwork section. That came next day because she's just in Brooklyn and I'm on Long Island. So like when she sent that out, it was here the next morning. Okay, so I am not happy because my yarn for the main body of this sweater, I ordered it back on December 1st from Susan B. Anderson over at Barrett Wool Company, and she mailed it the next day. So she's great. I'm getting some amazing oat colored yarn from her for the main body of this sweater. She mailed it next day. Today is what, the 11th? So Barrett Wool Company is out in Wisconsin. I think it might be in Madison. I'm not sure about that. December 2nd. Has there been any movement on my package? She mailed it. It went to the Oak Creek, Wisconsin distribution facility, processing center. And for like a week and a half now, my yarn has traveled from Wisconsin to Wisconsin. Something that is priority mail and should take like 3 days under normal circumstances. Okay, I know that we are not under normal circumstances right now with COVID and with all of that stuff. So I get it. I get that it's going to take longer. But it is still processing in Wisconsin. And that's not my only yarn. So my sweater yarn is being held hostage in the Oak Creek, Wisconsin distribution facility. And I mean, it's been there for like 7 full days with absolutely nothing. Like it's just sitting in a bin somewhere. I could have driven myself to Wisconsin and back and just gone and bought the yarn from her directly on an in-person visit. Not would have been the safest choice, but I would have worn a mask. And obviously I'm not traveling. I'm just being facetious here. I mean, because the amount of time, it's been like 10 days since I ordered that yarn, and it hasn't moved out of the state of Wisconsin. And then at the end of November, my monthly sock yarn from Miss Julia in Michigan, she mailed that to me at the end of November. Finally, the other day, there was movement on my package, and we checked to see where it was. And so Julia's in Michigan. It made it from her post office all the way to Grand Rapids, Michigan. So again, that's been like just about 2 weeks sitting in Michigan. Like all of these Midwest post offices are holding my yarn hostage. And I mean, all right, I'm not so concerned about the sock yarn. I had ordered some Christmas colors from her that I kind of was hoping, because her yarn usually comes within the first 5 days of the month. She mails it at the end of the month and you get it a few days later. So I was thinking, okay, like maybe I'll be able to like whip out some Christmas socks using that particular yarn for Christmas presents. At this rate, it's going to be Christmas in July socks, maybe even Christmas 2021 socks. I don't know, but not holding out hope. It's the movement shown on those packages that it's every single day I said, your package is arriving late. It's still on its way. Don't worry. But yeah, so it's just kind of frustrating. But yeah, it's like, normally it's just yarn. It can wait. I'm not in any rush to get it. But for this particular one, it is for a test knit. And I do have a deadline, and I don't have it in my budget to just go pick up like other yarn and get started. So I am in a holding pattern. And Catherine's really great about it. She's like, don't even worry about it. I totally understand. I mean, at least the other test knitters and her are working out some kinks in the meantime. But I'm like, I can't even swatch for this thing until this yarn arrives, because all I have is the colorwork section, this main body color. I mean, the two go together. You can't actually even make a swatch without having all of it in possession. So that is on a big holding point. So the good news is about not having that is that I can just focus on Christmas knits and just checking the smaller items that I'm trying to do for gifts. And now Owen gave me a really big project, so that can be a main area of focus. But I'm not expecting to get any spinning done before Christmas, and if any happens, it will be just as a break from knitting and very little of it. And my worsted Boxy, I'm not expecting to really make too much progress on that. Owen's sweater from this point is going to be my main goal until that is complete. So that is my main assignment for myself, is pulling off this amazing sweater for him. Okay, so that brings me to acquisitions. And I still have some. I shouldn't, but I do. All right, so I showed you already the blue yarn that I acquired this morning for Owen's Christmas sweater. So there's that. And let me just pull out all the other stuff so that I can just show it to you. Hang on. Okay, so last time I showed you this little green hat that I am making for Owen, and it is called Tannenbaum. And I didn't write down the designer, but I will have it linked in the description box below, and I'll probably also pop it in right here. So there's this little Christmas tree hat, right? It's so cute. It'll totally fit him, and all it needs is to be trimmed. And obviously it is in exactly the same place that it was last week. But I have been on a mission searching for things to trim the tree with. So initially, I told you guys last week I went to Michael's and I didn't find a whole lot. I was looking for buttons and they didn't have any buttons. So I picked up some jingle bells. I don't know if I will put these on or not. I picked up some little tiny pom-poms, but I don't really think that I want to glue on pom-poms, but you know, just so that I had a couple of things to deal with. And then one of the versions of the tree being trimmed has like some tinsel going around and around it in like a spiral. And so I think I mentioned this last week, but I know I didn't show it off. I was looking for like some glitter spun yarn or something, and I couldn't find any, but what I found was Red Heart Scrubby Sparkle. So this is actually intended to make those little scrubby sponges to clean your dishes with. So it's like, you know, it's like a really rough material. But maybe if I decide to do tinsel, this is an option. So I picked this up. I got red, I got white, I got green, and I got yellow. I was looking for kind of like a gold or a silver. They didn't have that. So I'm not really sure. I'm not going to do the green for sure, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to do maybe red or yellow or white or just not any of it. I don't know. So, you know, I'm sorting this out still. But I picked this up anyway because I figured I can either return it because I got it at Michael's and it's really easy to just return things there, or I can actually maybe try to knit up some little scrubbies and give them as like little stocking stuffer type gifts to a couple people for Christmas. We'll see. So there's that. And then, so let me put those, I'll just put those up here. So then, since I didn't have any luck with the buttons at Michael's, then after I finished my podcast last Friday, I went back over to the Knitting Cove because she does have a lot of buttons over there. And I thought for sure she's gonna have like some fun Christmas buttons, like maybe Santas, candy canes, snowmen, something, right? No. I did pick up buttons. So I picked up, I got like a little bag of options. So, I mean, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. So I picked up like some of this style button. So it's just like a little solid color, and it's just got like a little, I can't really even like see, my fingers are in the way, but just one little loop in the back. So I picked up those, just a few each in red and orange and blue and green. And I found also then these little gingerbread men buttons. I think they're like gingerbread men, but they had those in blue. So I picked up a few of those, and I picked up some of these little dot buttons with penguins on them, because I thought penguins are winter, right? And I picked up some snowflake buttons. There you go, some snowflakes. And I got a few of these. I got like 3 of these. I think I got 3 of each of them. And these little like reindeer buttons. So I just got an assortment of things, thinking, okay, well, this is at least a step up from just like gluing pom-poms on, right? So I got that as an option. Okay, well, while I was there, first, when I was at Michael's, in addition to this scrubby yarn, I picked up some of this Bernard baby velvet, because, I mean, if you look at it, I was thinking, oh, wouldn't that be cute to use on the brim of a Santa hat, right? So then I got it in my head that I want to make a Santa hat. So, or 2, maybe more than 1. So I picked up 2 skeins of this for the brim of a Santa hat. Okay, so then when I was at the yarn shop looking for the buttons last week, I picked up 1 pom-pom for my Santa hat, because, I mean, it's like the perfect Santa hat pom-pom right here. It's so soft. It's so amazing. So I picked that up, and then I also picked up 2 skeins of red, because I just wasn't sure if one was going to be enough, because I don't have a pattern. So you have to be prepared. So I picked up 2 skeins of that. So this is a specific project. I mean, how festive is, like, I'm going to have this cute little Santa hat. I'm so excited. I've always wanted to knit one, and I never have. So all of that happened last Friday. Then on Tuesday, when Owen was in theater, now I did bring my knitting with me, and I did do some knitting, but I said, you know what? Joann's has buttons, and they usually have more fun buttons than Michael's does. So I said, I haven't been to Joann's. The Joann's near me, like, some Joann's are really nice, not the one near me. The one near me is like kind of a dump, and it's really small, and they just don't have, it's just not the best Joann's. I've been in some Joann's that are like amazing, and the one by me is not that. But I figured I would give it a try, and then I actually had some luck. So I found these little Christmas light buttons, which they're kind of like charms. So I thought, oh, well, maybe that would be fun. And so they had a buy 3 get 2 free. So that was what I did. I got 5 packages of these little lights. So whether these go on the hat, I don't know. Whether they go on the Christmas tree on his Christmas sweater, probably, I don't know. But they're gonna go on something, and I think I have enough for both projects. So I was kind of excited to find these buttons. So you would think that I would have just grabbed these and left. But no, I hadn't been there for a while. And so I had like 3 hours to kill while he was in rehearsal. So I wandered Joanne's. So I found there, and all of their yarn was on sale, like 25% off, and I had coupons, so it was less than that. But I found Lion Brand yarns, mani pedi, in, what color is this? It just says crew. But you know me, I like a good rainbow, and I like purple, and yeah, so I decided to get that for some socks. So there's that. And then, all right, so, Sugars and Cream is a really, really, really inexpensive cotton yarn. And way back in my early knitting days, I made some dishcloths, and I always used Sugar and Cream. I mean, it's like $2 or $3, right? And you can make several. And then I noticed that they had this new kind of yarn of Sugars and Cream called Scrub Off. So it's got the regular, I had never seen this before. It has just the regular yarn, but then it also has this like nubby section of it. And they had it in a bunch of Christmas colors. So I'm thinking gifts, right? So this one is called Peppermints. Let me get out the other ones. So I got like one of each Christmas color. This one is called Candy Cane. This one is called Snow. And this one is Mistletoe. And that is like these kind of greens. This one is Holly Jolly. This one's not a Christmas color, but this one matches like my mom's kitchen. And this is just called Deep Turquoise. So I just grabbed that one too. So, because she might prefer that to like Christmas colors. So I got all 6 of these to do some dishcloths, in my spare time. They should be quick gifts though. No, the only other thing I picked up was just some green embroidery floss to do the stitching for, to attach the things to the hat, and probably also, it depends how I do his sweater, perhaps to do the stitching onto the Christmas sweater. But this was definitely made to like attach all the little things to the hat. So those were all my acquisitions this week. And I would have had more if the post office wasn't going to be holding all of my yarn hostage. That's all I've got for today. It was a lot. I'm really, probably the thing I'm most excited about right now is Owen's sweater. So it's going to be a super fun project. And I am very excited to be like dabbling into my very first design. Because I'm taking some inspiration from other patterns, but I'm not taking stitch counts. I'm just taking just ideas on like how to space out the increases. And this is all information that you can find in pattern design books, which I have several of those that I am going to be referencing for this. And just like holding up the size of his sweater. So I have no doubts that I will be able to pull off this design for Owen. But then if I decide to turn it into a pattern, like grading different sizes is something I have no idea how to do. Test knitters, there's a lot. Writing up a pattern, there's a lot that goes into it. That would be completely new territory. Would make for great podcast content, but just a new learning experience and opportunity for me to grow with my knitting skills. So yeah, I'm really excited about all of this. So yeah, it is starting to get a little bit dark out here, and which means Owen should be getting home from school pretty soon. So yeah, that is today's podcast. As I said, normally I do have a little bit of spinning to show, but that is just, I'm just going to put the spinning section on hiatus until January, unless something else comes up, then I have actually something to show you. I know that I already mentioned subscribing at the beginning of the video, but especially if you have stuck all the way through my video today, and if you plan on coming back to see the progress of Owen's Christmas sweater and the status of all of these other knit projects and to hang out with me, then please just take a minute, and it doesn't even take a minute, it takes 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me. It's just, a really easy and free way to support me on my podcasting journey here. I've been making much more of an effort myself. Now that I'm doing this, I am making an effort to make sure that I am subscribed to all of the podcasts that I enjoy watching. So most I already was subscribed to, but this is a new channel, so I'm also subscribing through my Stop, Drop, and Knit podcast YouTube channel, in addition to my flute channel. And so they're getting 2 subscriptions from me. I'm making more of an effort to actually take the time and comment, because it does mean so much to the person putting out the video to know that there are people who are just as excited about knitting and projects and have stories to share as you do. I mean, even if you just want to say, hey, this is who I am and I watched your podcast and I'm from here. Like, I want to get to know who is viewing my videos instead of just seeing like numbers of people. I want to know who you are. So please leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button. Can't wait to check back in with you guys next week and show you all the progress with Owen's sweater, because there's gonna be hopefully a whole sweater to show you, or most of one by then, because I'm on a deadline. I've got 14 days, so some big progress has to be made with that project. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.